good morning, YouTube viewers. Good morning, Facebook Nation. Good morning to all people, all colors, all races, around the world, men, women, children, no matter where you are. May you have the most beautiful day. Whatever goals that you set forth for yourself on this day, may those goals come to fruition. And we hope and we ask that those goals that you set for yourself on this day are of a benefit for all of humanity, and as well as for yourself and a better you. So with that, let's just get right into this. I got a hangover, a serious hangover, and it's like, you know what I'm saying, I haven't had a hangover probably, I think maybe last Christmas might have been the last time I had a hangover like this. But this is what this video is, it boils down to what this video is actually about, which is about ignorance. How we know that, hey, you go through life, we know what our limits are, but yet still we'll say, today is that type of day, I'll just have one more, what I mean, I'm feeling good. So, but that's not how my hangover came. My hangover came because this past weekend was a Mother's weekend, Mother's Day, or what have you. I'm not a holiday person because I believe every day is a day where we should be loving and caring and wanting to do the best thing that we can for the person beside us every day. Not just on specific days. So it's not to take away from you ladies. So today's topic is get back to it. So to get back to the Mother's Day thing. So again, like I said, just said, but I saw the people that I know, really, really good people, both men and women, and they were drained. I mean, they looked emotionally drained. Me as well. You know what I'm saying? I understand this. That, there's a surge in this negative energy to drain that light from us. But, we fought the fight. And, you know what I mean? It's each time you go up against evil, evil takes its toll on you, and it's the ignorance that we're up against. It's not so much as the negative things that we see coming our way, just the bad things that surround us. But it's the people who we think that we can kind of sort of associate ourselves with, but yet they still harbor, views that are detrimental to us. And this is where that ignorance comes in. So, to see these people drain, number one, to me that just goes to say, one of the things I said in one of the conversations to, this woman, she's a doctor, out of all people, a doctor, you work with people, like, you know people. She says to me, Dennis, we have so many patients. She said, we're overwhelmed. We don't even know what to do with them. And I said to her, so now all that conspiracy theorist stuff you thought I was talking about 4 years ago to you, now that stuff is starting to make sense. And she turns around and she says, yeah, Dennis, she said, yeah, I agree with you on that one. She said, but, I have to be thankful that I'm part of the solution, which she is. She's not, for me, I deal with people who have hearts, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people, even some of the people that watch this video, many of the people who may come in and see this video, some don't have a heart. Some are just here to learn, to see how they can outthink the game. But the thing about it is that this is your game. So when we sit back and we figure these people out, it's their game you figured out. But they'll come onto this channel and sit back and say, okay, well, maybe I can get something and I can figure out another way to go at the person, or gain this wealth, or what have you. At the end of the day, so this is what the topic is about. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss, because most people don't understand the ignorance that they have within themselves. So the topic is ignorance is bliss, family values versus racist views. And you sit back and you say, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Racism? No, we're talking about life. We're talking about ignorance. So we're going to talk about how these things play in and how we are teaching. Remember, again, ones that we encounter where they sit back and say, oh, well, that's what so-and-so said. That's what they believe. No, you believe it, because you didn't say anything to correct the person. So you're just as guilty as that person for making a comment, because you allowed that comment to continue to flourish instead of cutting it off at the root. So, this was a conversation that I had yesterday. So, I'm talking to someone that I associate with, someone that works in the store which I go to. So I go down, I'm going to the store, I said, well, let me go and play my numbers. So I'm talking to this guy, you know what I'm saying? White guy, has the earrings, not the tattoo, but the ring nose and all that piercing stuff. And, pretty cool person, and still to the day, I kind of think that he's a good person. But like I said, the ignorance is being misled. And if you allow ignorance to continue to go, then that corrupts not only that individual, but any other individuals that this individual encounters. And this is what we're experiencing in this world. So he's saying, well, wait a minute, what are you saying now? What did he say? The conversation was talking about, that how, these programs, the ones that I speak about, how these programs are being used all over the world, and that what's going on in one place is the same thing what they're doing in another place. And then by doing that, we mistreat the people who try to leave. So it has to do with immigration as well. And he says to me, there's another guy, black gentleman, who comes in here, and he always says says to us when that guy comes in, he's like, I don't want that guy in the store. We have to pay for him. We have to do this and have to do that. Now you might say to yourself that this is a normal comment. However, it's not a normal comment to someone who is not ignorant. So for someone like me to hear something like this, my response to him, as well as the person who told him this about this individual, was the fact that let's talk about immigration. Let's talk about how the fact that when you came here through this immigration process, your criminal records were clear. Not saying that you all have criminal records, but just like what Trump is talking about, Europeans are criminals as well, who come in here through this immigration status, where they have committed crimes in their country and they're allowed to come here, have their records wiped clean, which allows them to get loans, which allows them to get federal jobs, which allows them the American dream. Whereas you have black people who were stolen, who were taken here. And not only that, after we were freed as slaves, when we went on to build our cities and to build our economies, look up the buried black cities in America that are underneath water right now, underneath lakes. Start in Georgia, and then take yourself out to Arizona, because Arizona is a tourist attraction where they scuba dive and go down there and look at the buildings and things like that. But you're not seeing this in your history books. So this is the ignorance, where you sit back and you're allowed these benefits, and you'll point and you'll look down at people who are systematically being oppressed just to lift yourself up. And if you really want to lift yourself up, which was my last part of the comment to the individual, make that money in your own country. Go back to your country and make that type of money. So you were poor over there, and then you got here, and then they opened up and gave you the red carpet, allowed you to do things as long as you continue to oppress these people. So you're evil. And that's how we have to look at these people who sit back with the smiles on their face and say that they're not racist, that they're not biased, and that they're, we have to stop lying to ourselves. So now when you talk about the person who's made this comment about this unfortunate gentleman who I know, and this person has a mental disability, who is being also failed by a failed system. So there's failure throughout all of this. We're all broken, and we're all being ignorantly played against one another in all different levels, in all different ways. And like I said, and see, if anything, the comment should be, this man should be in a hospital somewhere, and she should be on the phone with City Hall asking, why aren't they, we pay taxes to make things available for people who have mental disabilities. Why is you're allowing this person just to roam the street? He's most of the time walking around in pajamas, and sometimes it's like 10 degrees out. He's got pajamas and shoes with no socks on. Sometimes he'll be walking around with slippers with no jacket on, and it's freezing. So when I come into contact with this individual, if I had $5, I'd try to give him $1. If I got, anything that I got that I can give, I'm going to give. Because I understand his situation. I understand he, as well as everybody else on the face of this earth, is being failed, continuing to look at mankind. And the thing about what I'm saying is, and it's all boils down to what we worship. We worship. We want to, be like this person. We want these people to lead us instead of being leaders ourselves. And let me put it to you like this. What kind of a God, if you created everything, needs somebody to bow down to him? No God that does that. He doesn't need that. That's crazy. The only ones who has to be bowed down to are people who have to answer to somebody else. That's how the system works. So now when we come to family values, right? So how does family values play into a comment like that? So that comment was passed down. That comment is passed down from father to son to his 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 son, from mother to her daughter to her daughter to her daughter. And we have to realize that these programs are based from birth, which has made us ignorant. And it's up to us to come out of it, because if you tell me we've been on this earth for billions of years, and you tell me if billions of years of war upon this earth, because all throughout history, go back to day 1 in the Bible. Day 1 in your Bible tells you murder began, and then right after that, war followed. So you tell me, out of all of the years of us being on this planet, tell me what race dominated and just took over. That they wiped out every other race that was on the face of this earth, and they're the only ones that left. If they couldn't do it in all these millions of years, what the hell makes you think you can do it now? That's the ignorance that's running through people's minds out here. That's how stupid a person can become. Instead of just turning around and just trying to live together, realizing that this money system that they put us in don't work. This money system has killed more people than religion. Think about that. Well, religion and money, death go hand in hand, and politics go hand in hand. Money has been the cause of more death than anything else in this world. The one thing that causes so much suffering, so much starvation, so much hunger, so much everything, is one thing that will kill our neighbor, our neighboring country, or our people down the street, or the person that works beside you, just to possess this money. And our brains ain't big enough to understand that everything that we need on this earth, we don't even have to charge a dime for it. So it's our own personal ignorance that is causing what we see in this world today. But for those who are awake, you have to realize this, and you have to call this out. Because again, you know, the comment was made to this kid that I know he's a white kid. The people who own the store where I was at, they're Indian. So now, when he's telling me about immigration, I'm at that age, but I'm also at that education level to understand that, number one, which the number one rule, your criminal history is wiped out. The majority of people who get these green cards that come straight into our country, no problems. The ones who have businesses, the ones who, you know, come in and be like, oh, well, they open up that store right there. They, you know, how did they get the money to do that? It's all a part of the immigration package. So not only do you get forgiven of your criminal crimes, the people that you ripped off, and things that you've done in the country that you're from, but then you come here, and we're not talking about people of color, we're talking about Europeans as well. And then you're forgiven for that, and then you're allowed every amenity that these people who built this country are not. So you're just as bad. And that's why I say ignorance is bliss, and it's a family talk process, and at the end of the day, we're all going to lose behind it. But what I'm saying to people who have light is that we have to recognize this. But we also, you know, we also have an obligation to say exactly what that response was. And the fact of what he said about this, you know, black people not wanting to work and we have to pay for them and have to do this, no, that's propaganda. It's the same thing you're using on the Ukraine, right? Or trying to use on the Russians, right? Or trying to claim that the Russians are doing it, but yet still, you know what I'm saying, you're doing the same thing. You ignorant punks. You know, not meaning anyone in specific, but just the humanity itself is ignorant beyond ignorant. That the same tactics, but yet still we see that none of this stuff works. Again, how long has this earth been here? Civilizations have been here over hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. The earth is over almost a billion years itself. So this solar system is billions of years old. So who is wiped out anyway? I'm still waiting. Still waiting. And this shows you ignorance. Who's the dominant race? And you say to yourself that you would think that there's a dominant race, but yet still there's not. There's only a race who's in control. You know, and those things change. And it's about to change now. This is why you're seeing so much stuff falling apart around the world. If we read our history books, that's where you learn that before nations fall, there's pandemonium. There's this. Most world powers collapse from the inside out. That's how it's done. And we don't see that this is happening here. And it's not going to be one person. Let me grab some coffee. You know, they say that saying, there's an ignorant saying behind this. I have a hangover. So they say, oh, you know what? Drink some black coffee. I wanted you to think about that one for a second. Oh, you just drink some black coffee, but you have to drink it black. Think about that. My coffee has cream in it, and it has sugar in it. But coffee itself is black. And the cream nor the sugar changes that. It doesn't change that. You know, it only adds to it. The coffee is still black. So, you know, these are the little things that we sit back and we, you know, we allow ourselves to get mentally tricked to think in reverse. And there's a lot of thinking in reverse that is going on in this world today. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are being so blind. And I feel for the world. This is why this video is here right now. I feel for the world. The reason I feel for the world is, just as I've been saying, many people make comments with no thought or consciousness in what they say. We're just throwing things out there to throw, and that's at the cost of human life, which is harmful as well as dangerous. Remember, just the comment that that person made, and then he passed that same negative energy onto somebody else, so that person can say, make that negative comment to someone else. At the same time, never understanding, never taking the time out to say, hey, there's a mental disability that's involved with this. What is our responsibility for this? So this is where ignorance comes in. So when people point fingers and say, oh, you know, it's sad what's happening here, no, you're responsible for it. I tell people that. That's why I'm alone a lot. You know what I mean? And I don't mind it, because I'm not going to live in this world, which is a laboratory, see the things where we're being tested, to see how much it is that we condone, see how much it is that we'll follow something that makes no sense, how much of ourselves we'll lose, which prohibits us from moving forward. You see, the entities that are on this earth that people are worshiping, thinking that they are God, these entities are trapped here with us. They can't go back home. They can't go wherever they're from. They are in prison here. And this is why we're seeing what we're seeing and experiencing in this world, because they're angry and they are angry at us. Because we are the creation of the Creator. We are the creation from the Creator, who created everything. And the Creator is the one who imprisoned these people here, who we call God and gods, where they're running rampant. You know, do everything and anything that we see under the sun. You know, so the world isn't getting any better. You know, we can't wake up from that. It's not. It's getting far worse. But about it is that the peace that is universal, nothing can take that away. Nothing, no matter what you're experiencing, nothing can take that away. Because it's almost like it becomes a part of you and it'll guide you. So I know I'm getting a little deep and I know I'm going, in different directions, but you just stay with it, because ignorance is a bad place to be. But to accept ignorance and watch ignorance play out, that makes us wrong if we don't say anything and we don't know the truth. As I said, when you're open to home loans, you're open to, all these different benefits that people who built the country ain't privy to, there's a problem with that. So no one can sit back and say, oh, well, we pay for this, we pay for that. Well, we pay for you too. We pay for you too. And this is the way that this works. Now, you have the wealthy. Now, say you have wealthy millionaires, right? Now, a wealthy millionaire puts $1 million into a bank account. In 1 year, if the interest rate is 4%, 1 year, that's $40,000. Do you think the bank pays that money? Do you think the bank pays that millionaire? No, that money comes from poor people like us. It's another place where we're exploited, where we sit back, where we're taxed higher, where our loans, our interest rates are higher than anyone else, any other race, when we go into a bank to do anything. So we have so many things that are stacked up against us. So you basically are cowards. For the person that made that comment, you're a coward because why don't you go up against the top dogs? You want to sit there and join coattails and, get fed these little trickle-down crumbs and sit back and say, well, we're not going to treat you like the blacks because you're going to help us to keep them oppressed. As long as you do that, we won't oppress you. So you're cowards, for other, races of people who have come here as immigrants. And you can look at black Americans and not sit there to say, if we went to your country, took your cities, not only wiped the people out from the face of those cities, but buried those cities underwater, leaving those homes underneath, you would have called that a genocide. And no one is calling slavery a genocide. Why? Because again, it's ignorance. And as long as the people stay ignorant, this is what we get. So, when the person made the comments, he can make any kind of comment you want, but put the facts in there. Let the facts speak for themselves. You know what I mean? So, what was offered to him and his family wasn't offered to that person. So you shouldn't even point. So whoever your God is, which I pointed out that he was under the god Shiva, that Shiva is related to the god Thoth, and as well as Hermes, who is a Greek god. Explain that one. Explain that one. And this is what people don't want to teach their children. This is what they don't want to be educated. They don't want the education to come in school, as far as Atlanta and Georgia and Nevada, as well as being places where black cities actually flourished. And then they ran the people out, came up with some excuse to slaughter, murder, scare, rape, pillage. This is after slavery, taken away from our history books. But do your due diligence if you are in a family and you have black children. Do your due diligence to find out about these things, because a lot of our history has been taken away. So it takes away the right for these people to sit back and point fingers when they're evil. And by knowing your history, it shows how evil this person is, because this person knows your history better than you. So we have to stop being ignorant as well. So therefore, ignorance is bliss. So the last thing about what that comment left is that where now we're going to go away from him, but his comment, and we're going to use a different race of people. Now we're going to say gun laws. Oh, they want to take our gun laws. They're going to do this. They want to be had guns since the beginning of time. Guns ain't going nowhere. And even if they took those guns away, that you couldn't legally have them, you're not giving them back. You liar, you coward, you ignorant. That makes no sense whatsoever. Be like, all you have to do is say, I'm not giving my gun back. You can change whatever law you want, but they don't do that. They're saying, you got to give us the right to go out and kill. That's what that's about. That's the real thing that they want to say. So use your intelligence. Don't follow this ignorant road where they sprinkle these crumbs of deceit, manipulation, and deception in the road, and we just pick it up and keep following. So the fact of that also is that black youths are targeted. The reason that these gun laws and so many black people cannot attain weapons is because they arrest them as children. They arrest black children as children. This is a program that's gone on around the country, around the world, when it comes to black people. So when you're doing these things, and we know that you're doing these things, as well as for people who are color, black people who are watching this, these are the responses you got to start making to those people, just like the person in that store who thought he was saying nothing harmless because he's like, oh, well, I don't think like that, and that's not me. No, you are, because you allow this person to say something like this. And that's what makes me different. I'm not going to let you anyone sit around me and say something ignorant about another people or about another person without looking at the whole situation objectively. And that's something that we don't do. We form these opinions, and then we do this. A whole black city was wiped out because a white woman sat there and said that a black, young 13-year-old boy touched her. So when We sit there and we're in our ignorance and we're following these lies. And instead, let's get away from that. Let's get away from that. Let's go to another country. We all were taken away when a little 14-year-old girl sat up on the stage and lied about how chemical bombs and everything else was being exploded in her country and the women were being raped. And we all sat back and said, yeah, go bomb Iraq. Come to find out, it was a lie. The 14-year-old girl was a liar, as well as the 13-year-old girl who was a liar as well. So now we understand how, what ignorance does and where it's taking us, and why it's up to us on what we condone. And for people who are educated, when you hear these conversations where someone's trying to belittle another person of another race without even understanding what is the full picture of the comment that they might have made, then it's our fault. And that's something that I won't do. So no matter where, if anyone out there is having a party, you can't invite somebody like me. Because I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna tell the truth about everything. It does not matter. And I'm not about that game to sit back and sit back and try to put on fake faces. One thing anyone will ever tell you, this is my legacy right here. One thing that anyone around will ever tell you is say, yo, that dude was never multiple people. He was always one person. Whoever you saw what you got. I've never seen a guy turn around and be fake to anyone. As long as I've known, I've never done it because it wasn't in me. But I chose not to learn it because most people who do it, they say, oh, well, that's just no. You chose it, just like the ignorance from the comment that this person made. It was passed on to another, and no one ever questioned it. So we walk into that ignorance. We walk into that bliss. But still, when we stop ourselves and we say, well, wait a minute. I agree with some of what you're saying, but I don't agree with that other part. And then the person says to you, well, unless you have facts to back up what it is you're saying, then you have to accept this as fact because you know that what you have already agreed that this part is a fact. So, we have to take, I said it in an earlier video, in any family that exists on the face of this earth, there should be one person within every family who goes back to track all history all the way up. All the way up. Because, that's the key to understanding that we've all been played against one another. And I know this is long, again, but, just the fact of watching people's energy, drain so much because so much deception. It doesn't matter what color you are on this earth, and then another thing is we have to understand that even the evil people on this earth are being drained because none of that power is coming to us anyway. It goes straight to the fallen ones. They told you that in any doctrine that you pick up. They told you. That's why they want you to worship them because that's where your energy goes. It goes to them, your life force, the one that the creator who created everything, who created them. They're stealing from, so it's these guys, which is the guy that created everything up here, and then it's these guys that went renegade and did what they did throughout this universe and caused all this havoc. This guy up here imprisoned them, so therefore they cannot deny his power. So that energy still has to travel up. So when we want our prayers to be answered, they can't stop them, but if they can filter through it. And when they filter through those, what our requests to the Most High, that's where they devise a human plan, a physical plan to offset that. I.e., I want to lose 5 pounds, in 1 month. I.e., I'm only gonna drink on the weekends. I.e., I'm gonna give up smoking cigarettes. And then all of a sudden, all these things are coming at you. Oh, i.e., I want to stop gambling. Now all of a sudden, it's like here, somebody gives you a ticket, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, bam, you hit a number. So these things aren't by happenstance. As long as we sit back and we play ignorant to these things, then we will definitely be stuck in this reality, and we'll continue to repeat it. But for those who wake up, we'll ascend, beyond this, to someplace better. This is a laboratory, and we need to figure that out sooner than later. And sorry for so long on a Monday, but like I said, there's a lot of people who energy was kind of drained. Pick yourself up. We have to pick ourselves up. Just like, me, this hangover and drinking this coffee. Like I said, you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm never gonna drink again. I'll never do that again. But the thing about it is that why are you drinking? Because the world's a fucked up place. Excuse my language, but it's the truth. The world is a messed up place. So therefore, this is what we're gonna have. But at least, we don't have to rely on pharmacies. A lot of people are moving away from these doctors because they want to hook you onto drugs. And a lot of people are self-medicating because it's cheaper than going into a hospital. And a lot of the problems that are coming from people are in a hospital. It's not like almost going into a hospital and all you got is a stomach ache, and then your doctor is telling you that you need to have your kidney removed. You don't know that for sure. You don't know if this guy gets backed up, his creditors are ready to, take his summer home in Florida, and he needs an operation in order to cover, them from taking his home. There's so many ways that we're being lied to, but also so many ways of our own ignorance. So therefore, know thyself. And with that, everyone, have a beautiful day. Always be the best person that you can be. That's the #1 rule against going up against evil, because when your light is shining bright, it can't be infiltrated. And only thing that can happen to you is they can keep on trying to, break through and break through and break through, but it's up to you to open up that door, because once you receive light, they have to ask to be invited. And that's in one of the other earlier videos that I've done also. So, like I said, go into the playlist and check some of these things out. And have the best day, have the best week. I understand, it's draining on everybody, and, but being drained is actually waking us up as well. Because being drained shows that you're not in agreement with everything that's around you, and it's draining you. So, have a great day, everyone. Be the best person that you can